I love it up there. The transition's been quite different going from JUCO to a 4-year and being NCAA. Just kind of the different rules that of when you can practice and the time you can spend with your coaches and some of those things. But I have great teammates and love my coaches, so it's been good.
How was the transition like coming out of McCook to just to a new place in general, but also a new level of baseball in college?
It was fairly easy. I think Coach Craig helped me with the recruiting process, and all the coaches communicated, pretty clearly with me about kind of the process of what that looks like, and even just moving into an apartment and helping me with that and stuff. So it's been good. Kind of the biggest thing would be probably the classroom for me. Like the baseball side of it was pretty seamless, but yeah, I mean the classroom is kind of a bigger deal at 4-year universities than junior colleges. So
yeah, because junior college, there's a little bit of a reputation. It's a little bit like high school. Not in terms of athletics, but the class size mainly. And then you go to a bigger school and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people here, and you instantly don't feel like as connected with your professor maybe, or you're sitting in different places. You're going to different buildings for your classes. Has that had any impact?
Yeah, I would say, like, to your point about kind of like high school, and it might even just be the combination of I'm a junior now, so my classes are a little more difficult. But yeah, junior college classes, the content is pretty easy. The class size is small. You feel like you have kind of a personal relationship with the professor, and they also at junior colleges, and I enjoyed this about McCook, they do, like, everybody's there to help you out. And so they're really good with just, I guess, preparing you. And then, if you have questions or you're struggling or you need to reschedule a test or whatever, they do a good job of that.
Was there anything mainly about college life that you just weren't prepared for, or maybe going from high school to that first jump into college?
I didn't really feel like it was too much of a jump from high school to college. Definitely the just the time you have to put into, like, your sport and then in the classroom. Like, I kind of expected that, but there are definitely days where you kind of get back to your dorm room or and you're kind of in the middle of the day thinking that, when's this going to end?
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely some long days, and especially for a sport like baseball, it's kind of a sport that you can't really just, like, put away for a little bit and then, like, pick it back up. We're constantly
Kind of an ongoing.
right. Like, we really don't have an off season. So just the sport requires a lot of just constant effort. And
What are some other things about baseball, like, that are different than the other major sports, as far as, well, the first main thing in baseball is the art of hitting. How difficult is that to stay on top of as you grow through the college ranks?
It's super hard. I mean, I'm biased, but it's definitely the toughest thing to do in sports. I would say golf's up there.
Yeah.
Golf is tough, but I think the thing about baseball is you can't ever be fully prepared for an at-bat, a pitch, a game. It's never going to go the same way. Like, for football for example, you can just, you can be really prepared by Friday night and just kind of go out there and execute.
There's kind of an overarching game plan in other sports.
Right. And my coach always alludes to it too, like, in football, if they do this, you do this. If they do this, you do this. There's really not much of that in baseball because, there is slightly, but a lot of it's making things up on the go and kind of improvising. So in that case, it's a little similar to basketball because that's kind of a reaction sport as well. But yeah, it's the art of hitting, something that I feel like I've grown a lot in, especially in college. I had a hitting coach in Colorado that kind of poured a lot into me, and kind of helped me develop my own approach. And just through my years in college and even into high school, I've been able to kind of put an approach together that works for me and kind of know what I'm doing when I'm going good, and kind of what's going on when I'm not doing so well. And then
You're making these adjustments kind of on the fly, like you
Right.
said, in baseball, kind of as a whole, but especially hitting. It's a unique thing. For the most part, everybody kind of looks the same in the box, but you have to tailor your approach to something that's unique for like your body composition or your height or the type of pitching that you're seeing. And then when you go up to the plate, you're kind of just going through a checklist of 1 or 2 or 3 things that you're focusing on during that at bat, which maybe is not something like you were saying you see in football, a little bit in basketball, but maybe not many of the other sports. It's kind of it's a very intimate and personal thing that you're doing when you're in the batter's box.
Right. Yeah. There's no one way to go about it. I think kind of going back to your question about kind of what's a big difference from baseball to the other sports, just like you said, just the mindset and the kind of just the mental strain that it takes on you throughout a long season. It's so day to day, week to week. You can go 3 for 4 one day, hit 2 doubles, and then turn around and punch out 4 times, and you don't know what to think.
Back to square one.
Right. So definitely making adjustments on the fly, having good people around you that believe in you and are help support you, and kind of just instill some confidence. That's a huge piece.
Another thing about baseball too, that you're kind of traveling in a different way than some of the other sports. You're landing in a city or a town, and you are going to stay there for 2 or 3 or 4 days. Especially the higher up you go, you're going to be there maybe a week or half a week in some city. So what's the routine like for college baseball? I mean, is it a lot of on the bus, play, you go eat, you're in the hotel? I mean, do you game plan or do you watch film? How do you study and while you're on the road so much?
Yeah, the programs I've been a part of, we don't have a ton of film. Minot State, we utilize some of the technology we have and some of the stats, and we have defensive cards for teams that we'll play against to help us position ourselves in the field. And then we have just like everybody, we have some game plans against certain pitchers and stuff, and kind of know what to expect there. But outside of that, it is kind of show and go, eat to the hotel, and do it all over again the next day. And there's a ton of, you said it, the traveling. We play 56 games a year from February to May. We're playing 4 on the weekend and 1 or 2 in the midweek, so a lot of travel. Fortunately, like being in McCook, we're in a pretty good part of the country to be able to play quite a bit of teams, relatively close.
Yeah. It's not that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Minot is going to be some long bus trips, but
something you're used to in Wyoming.
Right. Yeah. It's nothing new.
Are some of your other teammates not accustomed to that? Are they from areas where they're playing, the majority of their schedule within an hour radius?
Yeah, we have some like California JUCO guys, so there's like 140 JUCOs in California, so they can play a ton of teams within an hour. Like you said, we have quite a bit of guys from Phoenix and Reno, Nevada.
Big
so,
base, yeah.
A lot of places to play, a lot of fields. So I think that's probably more of a issue for them. But like I said, it too. We're pretty used to that. So
yeah. What about the recruiting process in baseball? It seems so foreign to the other sports. Did you have a particular method that you used, or was there just like a color or a lens over the recruiting process that was unique to baseball?
Yeah, I think it's, I was thinking about it earlier today. It's such a complex, but also very simple, process. So it can be really discouraging. But this game, I think more than most, is about networking, about knowing someone who knows someone kind of thing.
And coaches.
Right. There's a ton of coaches at a ton of different levels. So, that's the cool thing about baseball is just that network is like really large. So, I think the recruiting process for me, I was kind of unaware of how it went, especially in high school, and kind of what to do. So, my dad and I, we did reach out to people that had some experience in that, and they kind of put us on to some just some good information, really, and kind of what to look for.
What would be that good information?
I think just like for me, the biggest thing that was important and is probably the most important in the recruiting process is like what you are looking for in a school and what you want to be as a player. Like you can choose a school that's more focused on development and kind of play the long game. You can go to a 4-year and sit on the bench, for a couple of years and gain experience that way. And then when it's your time, get on the field and make an impact. Or, for me, the biggest thing was I wanted to play. So I kind of knew early that junior college was what I wanted to do. I wanted to get on the field early and just kind of go from there. So I felt like that was my best.
And a player with multiple opportunities, you went to a school where you just wanted to play. Right. Yeah, versus, some kids today may pass up a really good school that would be great for their development to maybe chase a name of a school or something like that. I mean, that wasn't your path at all.
Yeah, like I said, I just wanted to play. And I got, another thing in the recruiting process is, just the financial, like if you're willing to pay a lot of money, if you don't want to pay at all. And in baseball, that's pretty rare. But so, yeah, I got a good scholarship, and that says a lot about what the coaches think of you as a player. Like, because you can look at it as an investment. Like they're making an investment in you if they're willing to give you a certain amount. And you can kind of, make percentages up of, how much that is that they're covering for you, and just kind of assume like what they think of you as a player.
Yeah, that's so valuable.
Yeah. So that's a big piece of it too, is just kind of understanding that. And just, like I said, kind of coming up with your priorities and what you want in a school. So,
and you wanted to get on the field early, and you did. You've the cool thing about your college career, you've played basically the entire time. There hasn't really been any sideline action for you. In baseball it's the dugout, I guess. But
yeah,
take me through a little bit of your career at McCook. People may not know the position you play, or may not know where you bat in the batting order, or just maybe just a little bit about how the seasons at McCook went.
Yeah. Playing was a big thing for me. I got a good scholarship offer from JO, and I felt like I was wanted there. He was very transparent with me about playing time, even on my visit. So I felt like I had a really good chance to go in and compete for a spot early. And I played the outfield. I played center field. That's where he wanted me to play.
And not really how you grew up playing.
Yeah, I grew up kind of middle infield, left side of the infield, and caught. And I love that. I miss it. But I knew in college I wanted to play the outfield because for me it was just going to be kind of natural, a pretty easy transition, kind of coming from the infield. And just kind of, I've always been pretty fast too. So, that's obviously valuable in the outfield. So I knew I wanted to play college outfield. Coach Derek, I played a season for a travel team in Colorado. So that summer before I went to McCook for my freshman year was the first time I'd played the outfield. And then went into McCook, was in the lineup early, even in fall games. And I just kind of kept kept proving, what I can do. And I was, by the end of the fall, was hitting leadoff and playing center. And then that just kind of rolled right over into the spring. I played 105 games. The only games I missed were I had a hamstring strain the first at bat of my college career. So I missed, I think, 6 games to start that year. But so I was really fortunate. That's another thing that is big in recruiting is like not everybody's path is going to be the same. Like I can't just say go to JUCO because you're going to play every game. There's injuries. There's guys,
academics.
Yeah, there's academics. There's guys that have been there for a couple years that have maybe been hurt and now they're healthy. So, it's not always going to be the same for everybody. And that's why it is important to really take the time and find a place where they want you there. They see you playing there and they invest in you, and you feel like you're confident in yourself enough to go get in the lineup.
Yeah. Speaking of good outfield play, I've just been dying to. It's been a while since I've seen you, so I've been dying to ask what you thought about the World Series. That play in, I want to say like the 9th or the 11th, when Pajes subs into center field, he runs over and drills Kike Hernandez, catches the ball, and then not that long after, the Dodgers win the World Series. I mean, what was your impressions of that? I talked with Stu about it a lot, and just what a fun series. I mean, big winner is probably just baseball in general. I mean, what a great series.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to my dad actually this morning about that play specifically. Off the bat, I thought the game was over. I thought Clement walked it off. I thought he burned Kike.
He did.
And I told my dad I was surprised that Kike actually made it up and covered the ground. He was there. I don't know if he makes the catch. It is Kike Hernandez, so I think he does. But Pajes,
that was so cool.
That was awesome. And that's what you love to see kind of from a center fielder, game on the line, I'm going to run you over, but I'm making this play.
Taking control.
Right. And I think for Doc to put him, or for Dave Roberts, to put him in the game in that spot, they had subbed in, I don't know his first name, but Dean, number 75, a couple times throughout the postseason to play center, especially when Pajes was struggling at the plate. And
Pajes kind of a big, tall outfielder as well. Maybe contributes to that catch a little bit.
Right. And, he had played center for them all year. So I think it was cool that he went back to Andy Pajes instead of putting Dean in there to go make that play. And like you said, tall, long strides. So, that equals speed. And, he made a great play. So, and yeah, like you said, one of the best World Series I've watched in a long time.
Yeah, Rojas with the game-tying home run. Not only that, but fielding his position at second to Will Smith at the plate. I mean, that was just a wonderful experience. Yes. I was sitting literally right there watching the game, and Rachel had gone to bed, and because it was well past midnight, or it was getting close maybe, and super late at night, and I just remember seeing him hit that home run, and I just lose it. I'm throwing my hat, I'm screaming, and pretty much right then I knew the Dodgers were going to win, even though it took a while to get there.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, 1 through 9 for the Dodgers can hit the ball out of the yard. There's never, you never catch a break. And I mean, I'll give credit to the Blue Jays for even, I thought it was going to be Dodgers in 5 or 6.
Me too.
So to play 7 really hard fought games and, probably could have won that series a couple times. They played great, but like I said, the Dodgers are never out of it. When you have Max Muncy and Kike Hernandez and Freddie Freeman and just Mookie Betts,
to not even mention Shohei Ohtani.
Exactly. And that's what I told, my Canada boys will hate me, but I was definitely going for LA just because I would never hear the end of it if the Blue Jays won. So, but I told my roommate, I said, even if Rojas gets out, like they got to go through Shohei. So, even if it gets to 2 outs, like you got to pitch to Shohei. So,
Yeah, and Shohei, who didn't play the best series of his career, it goes to show you the management, maybe the payroll of the Dodgers. But I like that you mentioned Coach Roberts there. He had a few really cool moments. The locker room speech, the moment on the stage after the game when he was lifting up the trophy and talking to Manfred. That was really neat. But the biggest thing, I think, the biggest decision there was the Paje substitution in center field. Subbing out Tommy Edman, who's one of the most clutch players, like, in the league. He comes from the Cardinals, my team, so I just personally know that. But he had a pretty big decision there, like, making those defensive substitutions. And then to let Rojas bat was another huge decision. He had been playing second base, but to let him hit in a big situation. He's not a home run hitter. I mean, he had 2 home runs since the All-Star break, one in September and that one in Game 7.
Right.
So you're not really counting on him for an extra base hit, if a hit at all, and then he hits a home run. So exactly. I don't know. It just kind of seemed like all the stars sort of aligned for the Dodgers.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, Tommy's Edman, I think, is a little bit forgotten, and I can't remember if it was Game 7 or 6. Slides into right field, spins around, throws Clement or Barger out at third. He had the big relay with Teoscar to get the guy out at the plate.
That was impressive.
Very impressive, and like as just like a baseball enthusiast, I guess, like that was like such a good play. And
take us through it.
Yeah, I mean, Teoscar, even earlier in the series, misses a cut and throws it home, which, in college, that missing a cut's about the worst thing you can do as an outfielder. I can only imagine. And, he's a big leaguer, and he's got, he probably throws it 105 miles an hour. So, they kind of get to do a little bit more of what they want to and what they feel. But when it mattered most, even Teoscar, who's maybe a little lackadaisical and getting to baseballs, got a good jump. He ran hard to the ball. He threw a dart to Tommy, hit him right in the chest, and then Tommy takes it from there and makes a great throw, and then Will Smith to pick it and get the tag on him. So that was like just it was perfection, really. So.
Yeah, it was. And that was one of the coolest things about the World Series for me too, was the defense was great. I mean, there was a couple high scoring games, but for the most part it was pitching. It was defense, which, like you were saying, as a baseball enthusiast, I love watching pitching. So I could watch the World Series over again, and not even to, like we said, not even to mention Shohei, but also not even to to mention the Dodgers pitching staff. I mean, all 5 starters appeared in Game 7. Right. I mean, how unbelievable is that? Is that just a payroll thing?
I mean, I don't know.
Baseball's a weird sport like that.
It is.
Just because you're getting paid the most doesn't always reflect in a pitching versus hitting situation.
Right. I mean, just like, in all levels of this game, if you don't come, and my coach says all the time, if you're not ready to play and you're not prepared and, going to show up and play clean baseball, it doesn't matter who you're playing, you'll get beat.
Right.
So, payroll, it definitely helps. I mean, when you can roll out Blake Snell and Yamamoto and Shohei and Sasaki and Glass now and all these guys, like, yeah, that certainly helps, no doubt. Just like the big, D1s can pay guys to come play, and that certainly helps. But like I said, and you see it in every sport, every level, upsets all the time, because if you're not ready to play, and especially in baseball, it doesn't care. Like, it doesn't care about payroll. It doesn't care about how good you are. If you're not ready to play, you'll get beat.
Yeah, I mean, that goes to the narrative of hard work, right? And you're someone who definitely embodies that, just knowing you over the years. Not the biggest guy, maybe not even the most talented guy in your class, but I would say almost without a doubt, you're one of the most hardworking people I've ever met. How has that impacted you in your life, and where do you see the fruits of that?
Yeah, I've kind of always had to rely on that, and not that I've had to, but more that I wanted to. I wanted to be known as a hard worker, because I've seen some good examples. Like my dad and my mom are both, extremely hard workers, and I've been able to kind of see how that translates into some of the success they've had as parents and workers themselves. So I think I kind of have naturally always had that in me, but then also to see it, in real time, real life, has had an impact on me. And then, like I said a little earlier, like this game is something that you always have to be working at. And so the more reps you can get, just kind of like in anything, the better off you'll be. For me, hard work.
What does that do mentally for you, having that foundation?
Yeah, I think for me, it instills confidence, because you can rely on all the preparation, all the reps, all the hours you've put into this game, and then when it's time to play, just trust that you've done what you can.
It's like payday,
right? So just go out there and play, and whatever happens, and then and just continue to work.
Is baseball a unique sport in the repetition of practice? There's, like you were saying earlier, there's not really much strategy involved here. It's kind of an individual sport to an extent.
Right. Yeah, the strategy's not, there's not a ton of it until kind of late game. And you'll see there's more strategy, I would say.
Yeah, World Series was a great example.
Yeah, small ball, stealing bases, and you see that more in college, I would say, than the big leagues. But like you said, the fundamentals is something that we're constantly working on. Whereas football, that's maybe something you hammer kind of into a days, and then by week 3 or 4, you're not worried about fundamentals anymore. Baseball, we have Indy D twice a week, Team D, or maybe more, honestly, Team D once a week. So it's something that we're always working on. Always getting swings, on our own time, and then obviously at practice too. So it is a game that requires just a lot of repetition. And
turning back your time growing up, what factors do you think contributed to your progression in sports and life the most?
Will you say that again?
Yeah. What factors contributed to your success or your progression through sports and life the most?
I think my work ethic has been a big piece of that, but also my mom and dad, honestly, have been a big piece of that too. They've always kind of been there for me to vent after games, and they always give me a good perspective on not only the game or the sport or the season, but kind of how it kind of translates to life. And so I would contribute a lot of my success in my outward perspective to just kind of to them, really.
What are some of those things that have helped you, like just specifically? Is there anything that maybe your parents said, or did you guys have like a kind of an understanding that was maybe underlying? Did they ever just sit you down and tell you that you have kind of this baseball gift? I mean, I don't know. Was there any foundational moments along the way?
Yeah, my dad's been probably my biggest fan in that regard.
And he wasn't really a baseball guy, right?
Right.
Yeah, until you.
Right. And he's learned a lot about the game, and I think he watches more baseball than I do at this point. But he's always been kind of my biggest fan as far as constantly lifting me up, just because of the mental strain and just kind of the anxiety that comes with this game. Naturally you're going to kind of feel some doubt and some just kind of negative feelings towards, yourself, because, you're not always going to have good days. And so he's always been really good as far as saying that I'm a really good player, and he's always lifted me up a lot, even when I think he's just blowing smoke up my butt. But
well, and kind of reaffirming some of the, decisions that you've made. He's been there, very supportive of you in this walk of life, just in general, which is a very hard one. And you talk about bad days. I mean, if you grow up an athlete, you're going to experience those.
Yeah, you will. And it's kind of how you go about the bad days, I think, that is like the most important. Like you said, understanding, first of all, you're going to experience them, but then kind of having, for me, people that you can fall back on, that are there to help you out and give you insight and perspective on how to move on, really, from those bad days. My dad always says, you gotta live like no one else so you can live like no one else. And so, like, that's always kind of his message. So it's just kind of
some head nods in the studio on that one.
Yeah, definitely. Rachel knows that for sure. But just the encouragement of keep doing it, keep working hard, keep putting in the time that no one sees, because eventually you'll see the rewards from that. So.
Were there any points across your career that felt like turning points or crossroads?
I think there was a couple. I would say I actually quit basketball for a couple seasons in high school to kind of focus on baseball. That was definitely a
pretty big decision for our community and hard for maybe some people to understand. But your love of baseball, maybe you should touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. That was a tough decision even for me. It's something that I think about quite a bit. And I tell people I wouldn't ever change it, but there are certainly days where I kind of regret not being able to play basketball with my friends. And, for those 2 seasons, like you said, I knew baseball was what I wanted to do probably since I was about 12. I felt like that was a time in my career that I really wanted to kind of take a jump. And so to do that, I had to sacrifice not playing basketball to have time to grow myself as a player and an athlete. That was a big piece, was actually just the weight room during that time.
And maybe something people don't know about you is you were a very special player in multiple sports at Riverton High School, football, basketball, and baseball. So giving up one of those things to chase another was probably pretty difficult. Yeah,
it was tough. And like I said, my friends, like, that's kind of what hurt me the most. Just because I love those guys and I wanted to, obviously play with them and spend time with them. So that was tough, but like I said, I wouldn't change it because I think it kind of helped get me on the path to, kind of where I am now. Another big piece would be some of the coaches and time I was able to spend in Colorado, moving away, to play in the summer was also a big decision that I made. And I think I learned actually a lot. I would say that prepared me the most for McCook, and probably what contributed most to me not feeling like college was really any different from high school, just because they did a really good job of preparing me mentally and physically, and kind of gave me an idea of what to expect. And then another big point in my career was after my freshman season at McCook. I felt like I left a lot on the table and was not very happy with how I played. And so that kind of led to me making some swing changes, and which was also kind of hard to just kind of leave something that you've been doing for a while and kind of start new. So that was another big point in my career, and I think I have become a better player, and I'm really happy with that process, even though it was kind of challenging at first to go through that. But I would say those are kind of three points in my career where I had to make some decisions that were not necessarily easy, but have come back to make me a better player.
Yeah. What are you studying, and was that what you anticipated you would study when you were in high school?
I am studying. I changed my major just not a few weeks ago to just a general studies. I'll just be getting a bachelor in general studies. It's kind of been a long story, but I originally went in wanting to get a degree in sports management. McCook didn't offer that. And going to a JUCO, like you're either going to walk away with an Associates of Arts or an Associates of Science, really. That's kind of all you're going to walk away with. So I was taking a lot of PE classes in McCook because that's a lot of kind of what sports management is. So I graduated with an Associates of Science there and transferred into Minot State's exercise science and rehabilitation program on a pre-chiropractic route. And then I found out in an academic advising meeting that I would not be able to complete that degree in 2 years. I would need to stay an extra year. And
when you're like in your 20s, that's kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah, it gets expensive, and with eligibility, I would kind of actually just be going to school at that point. I kind of want, and it's not going to affect me getting into a chiropractic school.
That's what you want to do?
Yeah, and I kind of made a decision to just finish in 2 years.
When you were leaving high school, was there a preparation stage, or I guess what I'm asking is, I guess what I'm asking is, how do you balance college life? When you move away and you have all these new responsibilities. Was there something that you didn't expect about that part of your journey?
I would say you don't have much time off. So it's really nice to come home like this on holidays and just kind of kick it and relax and just enjoy that time off because, as a college athlete, between lifts and practices and, 3 or 4 classes a day and then homework and, making lunch and dinner and, all this stuff. By the end of the day, you don't feel like you have much time on your hands.
Kind of rinse and repeat.
Right. And I love it. It's part of the life, I chose. But
are you a big routine oriented guy?
I think I am, but I'm not super superstitious, I guess, if I need to do this every time this day or this time of the day. So I'm not crazy strict on some routines, but I would say I have a pretty good routine.
Yeah. So a question kind of for our audience, for the young athletes in our audience, would you tell 12-year-old Nathan anything to do different or just advice?
I think it's a good question. I would tell him a couple things, and I think first and foremost, I would just tell him to believe in yourself and just keep grinding. I think belief and confidence is something that is really important in athletics and in life, because not everyone's going to believe in you, even yourself at times. So having that belief and that confidence, is really what makes athletes and people the best, I think. When you think about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and some of these guys, they were almost too confident in who they were. And so I think that's something that I would relay to myself and, to my brother and some of these other younger athletes. I think that's really important.
Yeah. How do you find that confidence? I mean, you talked about a little bit the preparation and the hard work that goes into to being confident, but there's also kind of a faith aspect too, that you have to trust the process, one, but two, you can't let those kind of thoughts get in your head. I mean, you have to, especially in athletics, kind of build this fortress, mentally.
Yeah. I think there's kind of three parts to it, like you said. The work and preparation, the support system from your family, and I'll actually say I think there's four parts. Having success helps build that confidence, and then lastly, just having a foundation in Christ has been a big part for me. Just being able to fall back on his word and his truths in the Bible, and that's been a big piece for me when I'm struggling, or even when things are going well, just to stay thankful and grateful for the opportunity that I have as a college athlete, and just the position I'm in. So
yeah. Has your faith had like a daily impact on you in college, or just kind of this overarching impact on you?
I would say kind of an overarching impact. I do my best to be praying. Prayer is something I do most. And then reading the word has been something I've been good at in different seasons of my life. I've been better, in some of those than others, but and then getting to church on Sundays, and I have some good teammates. We have FCA that we are able to go to, and we have our own little team Bible study that we meet early in the weeks. Just kind of carving out that time to kind of just make sure your head and your heart's in check. And has for me really contributed to.
Yeah, and there's a huge revival that's happening right now. Do you experience that with any of your teammates? How does that look for you, being Christian?
Yeah, I would say like there's a pretty big movement in kind of my generation. I think a lot of kids are kind of trying to find something that they can cling to in a world that's kind of hard to find that. With all of the things going on within it. But yeah, I mean, the Bible study's been great. The FCA, we're trying to grow that. And yeah, I mean, we have a little prayer before each game, which is something that I enjoy. We didn't do that in McCook, but it's been something that I like, that we do. It just kind of gets your head in a good headspace before the game. And so yeah, I would say there's a pretty big movement in the youth right now.
Awesome. Well, faith in life and in sports is so impactful and profound on some of these conversations that I've been having, especially starting the podcast. We've talked to some really cool people, and one thing I've noticed is that in some way, shape, or form, a lot of them are Christians, but in some way, shape, or form, there is a cultural and an identity perspective that really kind of plays a role in these people's lives, and I see that all over you. And being in the baseball process, you've had to jump around and you've had to make some hard decisions, and I think that really comes across, that there's kind of a confidence and a security about you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I feel really blessed to be in the spot I am. Even on my worst days, it's really not near as bad as what a lot of people go through. And so having that mindset, I just feel like God's really looked out for me and has always provided for me, and just kind of set me on a path that I didn't necessarily expect, but it's always I can always see him in it.
That's awesome, man. I think that hard work is really shown itself in your life. Your faith has. I think that there's a lot of things that the youth today, or just especially Wyoming athletes, could really learn from you. So I'm super grateful to have you on the podcast, and it's been nice the holidays are rolling around, so people are kind of rolling back through town that I've always wanted to catch up with. Of course, you being one of them, and I'm just really thankful. I mean, you're so polite, and it's nice to have you in my house. I got you sitting by the Christmas tree. I hope you don't mind. We turned the lights on though this time. So, but yeah, I mean, anything else that you want to say to the Riverton community or to your family? That you haven't already touched on?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate what you and Coach Mullins are doing for the community, but also the state. I think it's one, pretty cool, and two, necessary. I think we've always produced good athletes. There's a lot of good stories that come out of Wyoming and in high school sports, and so I appreciate you guys shining light on that. And then I guess to Riverton and the community, I think congrats on the football season.
We just had Coach Lenhart on.
Yeah, that was awesome. So congrats to all the guys that were on the team and worked hard. And I think Riverton's in a really good spot, kind of moving forward. I think we could use some help with baseball maybe, but so yeah, no, it's been good. I'm thankful for my community, and I've had a lot of good coaches here. I was just thinking about Coach Quayle the other day, and Brian
local
Schultz,
legend.
and, yeah,
another local.
Yeah, just like a lot of guys that have kind of had an impact on me, even though they weren't really my baseball coaches. But so yeah, it's been awesome to grow up here and be able to play sports and compete and have some good coaches.
Well, being a Riverton alum myself, I'm very honored to have this chat with you. I think you represent the Riverton community very well. I think you represent baseball and your family and your faith very well also. Yeah, thank you so much.